my hot take for this, and it's fun that you talked about Anton Ego. He's not actually the villain. His room is.
All right, everybody, we are back with another episode of the
Cinnamon.
And on this episode, we have a guest, the Cinnaboy.
Our first guest.
Our first guest, the Cinnaboy, my son Logan, is joining us tonight to talk about the movie Ratatouille from 2007. And I don't know if he muted himself or he's messing with us, but well, introduce yourself, Logan.
Hi, my name is Logan. I am Mike's son. And
you're here to talk about Ratatouille.
We're going to talk about Ratatouille, which I really liked.
Good.
You like the movie?
Yes.
Is this the first time you'd ever seen it?
No, but it's the first time I remembered it.
Oh, no, you know what? Same.
I saw it when it first came out, and I remembered bits and pieces, but I didn't remember the entirety of it.
No, me neither. There were whole sections I looked at, because Holly and I watched it together, and I was like, I didn't remember this part. Like, entire parts of it that just, because I'd always been so casual, like we've said in the other episodes, watching it critically is different than watching it for entertainment or casual purposes.
Absolutely. Yep.
And that's one of my favorite parts about doing this is I'm watching films differently than I did before. So,
yeah,
Logan, I'm glad you liked it. That's wicked. That is cool because you're going to be able to add a lot to it.
I will also say that for this show, I've been paying very good attention to movies I'm watching on video, like instead of in theaters. But in general, if I watch a movie on video instead of theaters, I'm paying less attention. When I'm in theaters, phone down, I'm paying attention. I'm locked in.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so last week with Milk, I had seen it in theaters. That was the only movie so far that I've seen in theaters. I'm like 95% sure I did not see Ratatouille in theaters. So I would have seen it. I would have seen it on video at some point. And so I probably was on my phone the first time, halfway, partway.
Are you trying to say Logan didn't see it in theaters, Mike?
I didn't.
Maybe a past life.
All right. So, what is our topic / journey that we're on for this specific film?
Okay, so we're going to be talking. Logan, do you want to introduce it? The topic?
Today, and about Ratatouille, we're going to be talking about Mise en scène, which is basically like the whole image and the individual components that make up the image. Right. And the reason Ratatouille is a good film for that is because it's about food and telling a story about food. Mm-hmm. You just using like the props and the sounds can make it have to rely on that, which makes it better. Which is the reason I think that's the reason they picked it.
It's definitely the reason that Mike and I picked it when we were because we always one of the reasons we always discuss this. What topic to do before we actual film, and some of them we even discuss and set multiple ones at a time because, of course, we schedule these ahead.
Yeah, and sometimes we have like in the case of Hard Eyes and Evil Dead, we hadn't seen them. Yeah, and we were like, what do we want to focus on? With the others, which had like Oscars and stuff, it was like, okay, well, let's focus on the thing it won an Oscar for, the thing that's memorable about it, and so we had to, with movies that we don't remember or we didn't see, we had to kind of guess at. This movie has some Oscars, for sure, but I was like not wanting to re-dip that into the writing well so quickly, and the sound design well so quickly, and then I will say the other reason, Alex, is because of mise en scène is a French term, as is mise en plat. Am I saying that correctly?
Plus, yep.
Plus, which is a food term, a specifically a high culinary food term, and so it felt like...
It is, and it's specific to the kitchen. So mise en place is the definition of direct translate everything in its place.
Mm-hmm.
So a mise en place is when you go look inside a kitchen, or if you dine at a place that has an open kitchen, you see that each item is in a very specific location. Usually, if your arms are down at your side, this is actually one of the scenes, when your arms are down at your side, everything is within your direct outstretched arm's reach or behind you. And the idea behind that is you want to be able to, at any one moment, reach out and grab the thing that you need. And in this film, mise en scène fits because each thing is in its place in the scene. So it was an excellent crossover of the culinary universe, of the restaurant world, of the romance that's around food and love. But more importantly, this film was critically acclaimed by chefs themselves. Anthony Bourdain says it's his favorite food film that has ever been made. And Thomas Keller, famous for the French Laundry, was an individual that developed one of the dishes, and he voiced one of the characters as well. So in this specific film, mise en scène fits because it is, like Logan said, so detail-oriented to food, textures, colors, and also some of the parts that we don't see of a kitchen. And the rats portion of this film, Ratatouille is a rat, it adds to it because we get to see pieces and sections that we would never see as humans. Go ahead.
If we're cool, I'd kind of like to start with the Paris of it all.
I was about to mention that that's actually that relates to one of my takes on the film overall is the Paris part of it. So no, I think that's a good start.
So Logan and I we in order to prep for this before watching Ratatouille, I showed him a couple of YouTube videos that I'll link below in case anybody's interested about mise en scène that would help us look with a critical eye at that while we were watching the movie. And one of the videos shows There Will Be Blood as an example, and it's the scene where it's the opening scene where Daniel Day-Lewis is in the Utah or whatever desert that's supposed to be. And they're talking about the mise en scène of it. And that was a perfect, that, and then you go into Paris in an animation, and I was like, though there could not be a further juxtaposition there in the fact that I know that the idea with mise en scène is that the prop master and the art director and the cinematographer and the director are all in charge of the entire image, and they're supposed to be in control of every little thing. But in real life, there's only so much, especially when you're shooting on location, you can do. You look at something like I said, like the desert, there's only so much that Paul Thomas Anderson controls of that desert image, right? Because he was shooting at a real desert. And you go, well, Paris is a real place, but, and I haven't been to Paris. I don't know if you have, Alex. But so I don't know. I'm sure there's some things that I know, like Gusteau's is not real. So we know Gusteau's is a fictionalized piece of the Parisian skyline. But for somebody who hasn't been, I could easily imagine that was it's almost photorealistic. If you take Gusteau's out, that could be exactly perfect of whatever, street, like they went and they, took their, not iPhone at the time, but like whatever, and took a video and were like, okay, we're going to recreate this. And I don't know if they did or didn't, but they had to, everything that's there is designed by the filmmakers, as opposed to live action being, okay, well, we're shooting on a rooftop in Paris for these shots. And so we won't have that much control, and I know that you can go through and you can cut and CGI and flip-flop things, but you only have so much control. In this animation, they built everything, whether it's real or it's fake, and other people will know better because they've been to Paris, but it was every single detail of Paris that they show was a decision, as opposed to a lot of other movies, and it could have been so easy to not go with as much detail. If you had shown us the Eiffel Tower, we would all been like, Paris, good, got it.
Yeah, if you saw an Eiffel Tower and some tall old buildings, you would have been like, oh, yep, we're good. The level of detail in respects to mise en scène was lifted purposefully, but also for just visual appeal. So someone like a more passive film fan could look at it and think, oh yeah, no, duh, it's Paris. like you said, but then someone who wants to go 9 layers deep and really look at the details and start pausing and rewinding like I did a bunch and always do in films, there is so much more to appreciate in something like this, where you've got Brad Bird and Sharon Callahan going really out of their way to make sure that an animated film didn't feel childish and hokey, but felt as realistic as possible. And when you have the beauty of a film like this is that you can edit it 9 times to Sunday and it doesn't matter. It's not you have this raw footage that you're then cutting. Every last piece of it can be reinvented at any time during post-production.
Yep.
And yeah, Pixar is by the mid 2000s, Pixar is a household name. This is pre-Disney. And
this is immediately after they got purchased.
Sorry, let me be real. Sorry. The production of this was pre-Disney. It was released after. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. So this was distributed by Buena Vista and was still completely produced by Pixar. So the ability for them to get genuine voice actors to hook moviegoers, but then it's the work of Robert Anderson and Brad Bird that brought this full circle and put mise en scène in place.
Yeah. And also, like, a lot of the other Pixar movies at that time have significantly bigger names.
They did.
Patton Oswalt is kind of a big name now, but for most people, he was nobody, a stand-up, or the guy that was like on a couple episodes of King of Queens. Like, he wasn't huge yet. He's now become huge in the years since. And he was I'm sure he was making a living before this, but he wasn't. It wasn't like hiring Owen Wilson for Cars or hiring Billy Crystal for Monsters Inc. or even Tom Hanks for to play Woody.
Well, this was also before his wife's murder, so he was still he
wasn't murdered. She just died.
Oh, sorry. Pardon. Her passing.
She wrote a story and caught a murderer.
That's what it was. Thank you. Yeah. So this was still early life for Patton. So this is before, like you said, during his TV time, he barely had some film work at that time. I mean, and he had Emmys and Grammys, but most of them came after this role.
Yeah.
Because he didn't really get any major awards till 2007. And it was for Ratatouille. He was nominated for voice acting in a feature production. Yeah. So you're right. Not household yet. No.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's, now we've talked about, there's a little more about the Paris stuff. Like, there was some spots in there where I was amazed at, like, things that they didn't need to do. Like the texture of the bricks, like behind in the background. Yes. Like, I was like, incredible. But let's jump over to the kitchen. Because the kitchen is where, the Paris helps give us a setting. Paris helps give us a tone, but the kitchen is where this movie is made. Logan, why don't you talk a little bit about what you noticed in some of the kitchen scenes?
In the kitchen scenes, they had all the things a kitchen would have, and it is realistic, but then, like, there was the main thing going on, so you didn't focus on the other things, but still they had all those details.
Yeah, and I think that one of the cool things about this specific movie is that, like we talked about, there's so much detail in the kitchen, but there's the details that, someone like Alex, who's spent a lot of time in a kitchen, like professionally, would know. Mm-hmm. And then there is the details that, like, even someone like Alex wouldn't know, like, they go under the stove and you're seeing not to say that you haven't seen under a stove, but you're not looking under them all the time, right?
No.
And so we get, that's a really, like, it's something that Pixar has been very good at with Toy Story and other movies, but, like, the juxtaposition of perspectives that are both realistic, but, like, you have the human perspective of, like, okay, here's the stovetop and the pot. And then you get the Remy, hiding under this and hiding over here and doing these things, which really gives. I mean, it felt like they went in and they just filmed in a real kitchen. And there was, there's certain aspects that aren't necessarily photorealistic, but they're not far. And so like you get, the vegetables and there's the sausage hanging and the cheese wheels sitting in the pantries, and you're getting all of that, and there is no, like to the scene. I thought it was going to play a bigger role, so I made note of it when it was happening. But when Remy has his first like food revelation, it is just Remy on black, and then there's the little like purple pinwheels, and I thought like, oh, we're gonna see a whole bunch of spots where this is gonna go from detail at every single level, like you could see the detail here in the map, and then we're gonna go to no background, and it only does it 3-4 times throughout the movie. Go ahead, Lug.
That scene he was talking about with Remy trying the different foods, that was one of my favorite scenes. And like it shows when he tries one flavor, it shows that flavor in the background by doing some animation, like some simple animation. Then he tries another one, it does another animation, then he tries them together, it does another animation, but that animation's bigger, showing Remy's feelings about the food.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And what was kind of big about this film for me is other Pixar films are anthropomorphic in nature, like it's toys that talk, or it is animals that talk, and they give them human elements. This was that level of, like you were mentioning, Mike and Logan, the detail, but put to things that we really can see. Like you can go to the grocery store and see a leak and then have a real idea of what that looks like. So the realism used in the renders of the food brought a lot of the focus of mise en scène in place, but also made it so much more believable. And like you said, going under the ovens or in the cracks or in tiny spaces. Well, the mise en scène carried over there because the rats scenes look completely different in the kitchen than when they're in the cottage, than when they're in the wall, than when he's running around the alleyways of Paris. Like the perspective is so different.
Yeah.
When we know he is the main part of the scene. And like Logan mentions, when he's trying the different foods with his brother Emil and he's biting one and biting the other, that black background makes it much more Pixar feeling to me. Like it's a bit silly, it's a bit fun, but then that's about the only time that ever really made me feel that way. The rest of the film is, this is a film about real stuff.
Yeah, and I want to talk about, when you say a film about real stuff, the thing that I found interesting is that the other than those disappearing into the black with the light show moments, other than those couple moments, the thing that is least realistic visually is humans. And
they're intentionally goofy looking.
They're standard Pixar humans, but there are moments.
Well, no, I'm going to push back on that. They are more exaggerated.
Sure, but they're very similar. They're very similar to The Incredibles, which is also Brad Bird Pixar.
Okay,
so more so than like Boo in Monsters Inc.
Yeah, so, no, fair.
And there's a lot of Pixar movies where we don't see humans too, but so you have these the two things I noticed were first the humans and then the cars. The cars are these comical odd little
oh, but they're not. They're all real.
I know that they're based on real cars, but even
not based on. They look dead exact. Like a Citroen DS looks like that. A Citroen 2CV looks like that. And I kept pointing that out to Holly. I was like, no, look, that's a Citroen DS. Like those weird, ugly headlamps. That is really what that looks like.
Yeah. No, you're right. And so you get the humans looking like that. The rats don't look exactly real, but they don't look nearly as far away from what real rats look like as the humans do from
Agreed.
what real humans do.
No, I will agree with you there. That is very different in like the realism of the way they are depicted. The rats look, oh God, the way the water, when they get wet, is so specific. The way it's clumping little bits of their hair together.
Yeah.
And the ears getting heavy with the water droplets, as opposed to when the humans get wet, they look like cartoon humans.
Yeah.
Like when Linguini gets wet, when he has to jump into the river and get Ratatouille when he not Ratatouille, get
Remy.
Thank you, get Remy when he drops him in the jar that he hasn't captured in.
Yeah. So the other thing is, when you look at the humans and the realism, the human that looks I know that he looks goofy, but I could imagine him being like that in real life. Linguini looks the most realistic, and quickly followed by Colette. Like, you could see those people existing. You can't see Anton Ego existing in real life.
No.
You can't see...
well, if you saw Peter O'Toole, you might think he could exist.
True. You can't see Skinner existing in real life. Skinner almost looks like not human. Like, he almost looks like a monkey.
I kept thinking Skinner looks like Jafar. And I kept saying that to Holly. I was like, "Oh, look, it's Jafar with a chef's hat."
Yep. And then even Gusteau, who, you know, I know the Gusteau we see is not the real Gusteau, but he, because he's Remy's imagination version of him. Mm-hmm. But he is, like, you can't imagine somebody whose neck does this out of their body. Like, and I know that, like, there's people who are heavy set, but he is not a realistic looking human being. But, like, you know, like, if you took a picture of my nephew and Linguini, they're not too far apart from each other, right, Log?
Yeah. But, Gusteau being, like, really wide and fat is showing that he is a chef, and he has been for a long time.
Yes, no.
And that is his main job.
Yeah.
It's one of the more obvious things.
Right.
No, I agree with you. It is super obvious that he has that aesthetic, and also specifically the French chef, rotund, white, beardless, clean-shaven man. Like, that is absolutely, if you look at, like, Bocuse d'Or, which is one of the premier, like, fine dining competitions, like, all of them look like that are in their 60s and 70s, which would have been the age of Gusteau at this point.
Yeah. Logan pointed out to me, which I didn't realize during the movie, but Linguini is his last name, and then his first name is Alfredo.
His first name, there are so many good food puns in this. I did enjoy the good food puns. I did.
Right.
They were delicate.
Yeah.
They were delicate food puns, but they were there.
Yeah.
Like Ratatouille sounds like it wouldn't be delicious.
Right.
Sounds like a rat's patootie.
Sounds like a rat's patootie when he's drinking the Chateau Latour 1967 with Chef. Yep.
Yeah.
So for me, the big mise en scène hits not only kind of reminded me of mise en place in a kitchen, but this concept was new to me. Again, you and Logan have so much more, like, film production and shooting knowledge than I do, but I have enough of a passion for it as a film fan to understand a lot of these concepts. This one was completely new to me, and touching on the food, kitchen, and then film side of this, there are so many times where everything in its place fits this film very well.
Yeah.
So my biggest probably belief in mise en scène, which doesn't get too close to details, which I know they hand in hand, but I wanted to try to separate them the most I can, because detail is something I can see easily. I look for it. Mm-hmm. Just specifically when you have Skinner being chased, you go from all of these, like it's weird how big the kitchen is and how tight and compressed all the other scenes are.
Mm-hmm.
The kitchen looks giant. I mean, it's not a small kitchen, but the kitchen looks huge, and the dining room looks even bigger.
Yeah, and then there's when Linguini's going into his apartment, and the door hits the couch.
When the door hits the couch, and he can't get his bicycle in the door, which I thought that was a callback to American in Paris. Is the bicycle like against the wall in that specific way, like the door on the right-hand side, the bicycle up vertical, the couch right there, like it looks like American in Paris. It really does.
It's been a long time since I've seen an American in Paris.
It's one of my. I don't love Woody Allen films. I like them quite a bit, and it's one of my favorites.
Okay,
so
we're talking about a different movie then, because I was thinking of Gene Kelly.
Oh, sorry, no, Gene Kelly. You're right. Wrong one. Thank you. So for me, like going from that wide open kitchen to that compressed space with these tall buildings, and like going out of that back door and chasing him through all of the different traffic, like it was such a big shift in scene. And the other big one that hit me that I really loved was when you first were shown Gusteau's kitchen, it was one solid pan with no cuts. So you went from the colors of that countryside, so brighter colors, more, you hadn't seen any food in the kitchen yet, but all you saw these bright colors, that moo that the French granny was wearing, her big glasses, like all of that very almost comedic size juxtaposition. And then when they reveal the kitchen in this one solid pan, it's all copper, amber, off-white, gold, like all of these other colors that if you've been in a fine dining kitchen like I have, that's what they look like.
Yeah.
And more importantly, that's a little more traditional. Modern fine dining kitchens look a little more like surgical theaters than they look like kitchens, but that is a very traditional, like French Parisian cuisine kitchen. Yeah. And the colors and the other thing, I know it's touching on detail, but it's mise en scène related. The pans weren't perfect reflections, but the knives were.
Yeah.
So that's something that hit me is all the copper pans had like that obscured reflection. Yeah. Not only the warped perspective.
Just like convex or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. But not even just that. It's obscured a bit.
Yeah.
So you knew it was a gray mouse.
Right.
But you didn't necessarily see it as shiny as on Colette's knife, where that was a mirror.
Yeah.
Which a chef that loves their knives, you could shave in them. Like it really, with them and in them. It really is that level of mise en scène specificity.
When you talk about the kitchen scene, that was also interesting because I feel like even though there's plenty of cuts in this movie, there are also a lot of follow shots where we're seeing where the shots are lasting. So think about Remy walking in like he owns the place. That shot where he's like, it's the shot. It's not in the kitchen technically, but it's where the guy has the baguettes on the bicycle, and Remy's just like, hey, and he's doing. Yeah. There's lots of those like lingering shots, which are also like an interesting pick for a kids movie. Like I feel like a lot of times you're going to get a lot of cuts and a lot of like you're not getting lingering shots the same way, and they're moving shots, but they're and there's like I said, there's plenty of cuts. But there are also like watch that that scene. There's the whole chase scene that became the ride at Disney World years later, which. Was this movie made in 3D? Because it felt like that, like if that wasn't made for 3D or for the ride, it felt like crazy.
I could see Ratatouille having a 3D release. If it's not active, it's passive 3D. Ratatouille. It was released in home video on 3D Blu-ray, but I don't know if it got a theatrical release in 3D. But again, you're right.
It's
made for it. It got okay.
In March of 2014, which is 7 years later.
It definitely is hit for it. I'm serious. This is hit for it.
I will say that, like, a lot of times when you watch a movie and you see the scene where you're like, oh, this is made for 3D. Like, it drives me crazy. Even in movies, sometimes in movies that I love. Like, I love Up, but there's a shot in Up where they're on, like, the cliffside, and the thing swings, like pendulum, like they step in front of it and swings right at the camera, and you're like, oh, this is for 3D.
Yeah.
This scene felt like it was for 3D. And I've been on that ride, and that ride is taken so much from this scene.
It has, yeah.
And this scene fits perfectly with the story of this movie that it didn't bother me the same way that a lot of that other stuff does. Like this fits plotting wise.
It fits plotting wise, and also when you were describing the more mature film methods that were used in this, it really does, like the whole kids movie thing, children's movie thing. I think this bridges the gap nicely because it has some mature themes: love, romance, loss, grief. Like, it has some of that, but it also has them in a more mature setting with the lingering shots, with the usage of color and scope, and and also the director not being afraid to, like, let it hang for a minute. Yeah. And that's something that you and I have discussed in a lot of these episodes, is allowing a scene to hang is the combination of writing, production, and acting that can make that not just feel, okay, what's next? Right. Okay, what's next? Like, it has purpose. Yeah. And Bird here, it's different than in The Incredibles, which is much more fast-paced, much more child, like you said, friendly, with faster cuts, faster edits. It has less of a film feel and more of a this is a fun movie feel.
Yeah. But also, it's a testament to the abilities when, like, Incredibles on every level applies to children.
Yeah.
Like, it is a subject matter that kids are going to love. It's an animation. There's jokes that kids are going to love, everything. This movie, like, there's certain parts of it that are definitely aimed at kids. And I think, Logan, you're 9.5. You liked this movie a lot, right? You liked it more than you expected you were going to?
Oh.
Yeah. But you liked the movie, right?
Yes.
And you would have liked it if we weren't watching for this podcast. It would have just been a fun movie, right?
Maybe a little bit less, but
you're also aging out a little bit to some extent of some of the kids' movies. But, like, this movie holds up, and it's about cooking, and it's about, finding your place in the world. It's not, Monsters, Inc. is about scaring kids and then eventually making kids laugh. And Incredibles is about superheroes and, like,
Toy Stories about friendship and families. Yeah.
But the idea of, like, I want to be a chef and nobody in my family really thinks about food is, like, something that if you can make that work for kids, that's incredible. And then
good point. And
then you get Linguini, who's like, I don't know what my place is in the world, and it's not cooking either. Like, and then, but my mom sent me here and I need to find, like, these aren't, like, the easiest topics to get kids okay with watching, because they're deeper
good point.
And Pixar does that a lot, but Pixar also, like, I think a lot of, making it a rat is the way of doing that, right? And making it, having fun moments and having the chase sequences and doing a lot of that. But when there's a lot of these movies, a lot of Pixar movies where I think it's just a much easier, less work necessary transition. Like, Up's an adventure about going on an adventure with a house full of balloons, and
the wilderness must be explored.
All right, so Logan, why don't you tell us? Why don't you sum up the movie, because we usually do a little bit of a sum up for the audience.
So it's about a rat. And that rat, he likes to steal food, but his family likes to steal food, but they always will just want to eat anything they find or garbage. Mm-hmm. He actually thinks like a human does, and tries to like enjoy the good food, actually be able to judge food, he starts being able to read all of that. He has a secret life. Direct quote from the movie. And by the end of the movie, he's deciding if he's a rat or a human.
Yeah. Okay. That is deeper than I thought we were going to get.
That's fantastic, though.
It's correct, because you're right when you say that he wants to be a human or thinks he's a human, because there's a good explanation in movie for it, but like his brother says, Dad's going to be irritated if he sees you up on your hind legs, because Remy wants to walk like a human, and they're all on all fours.
Almost exclusively.
And he has that good line of, okay, well, that's because I don't want to walk on filth. I remember
when Have you ever realized what's on your hands when you put food in your mouth? Yeah, no, good point. Oh my gosh.
But yes. So they do explain it well, but it also works for like separating him in yet another layer from the other rats, is that he's walking around like a person. And to some extent, Linguini is so uncoordinated that he is not walking around like the rest of the humans. Even when we see him kind of get coordinated on his own, it's on roller skates. It's not. We never see him functioning like a normal human being without Remy on top of him.
Which makes when Remy can't harness it even funnier, because he's already so awkward, and then Remy trying to make his actions look smooth or look natural, it's even better. And that gives some kid gag feeling, but at the same time, it was never for long enough that as an adult I'm not watching this in my 40s and thinking, oh yeah, I can see how a kid would think that's funny. Yeah. Or that idea where when you're an adult watching a kid show where there's clear adult jokes in there for the adults who have to watch it with their kids, like in Bluey, for example. Yeah. I can watch a Bluey episode and say, yep, that was for the parents. But then here, I don't feel that was for the parents in production, in lines, but even in scene work. Mm-hmm. Like the scene work, it isn't always bright, shouty colors. Yeah. All the colors had purpose. And again, being digitally animated, it's very easy to push the contrast to 1,000 on this stuff and make it just jump. Nothing was that harsh. Everything genuinely looked natural in the scene. Even the food, when it's supposed to be bright and vibrant, for example, the dish Ratatouille, who wants to make this? It's a peasant dish, as Tattoo said. It was very much like still one of the brightest things on the screen. And speaking of brightest things on the screen, what I thought was an interesting, we're not going to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it. There were two things that aren't scene related, but sort of are. Okay. The first one is they ruined Anton Ego. Ruined him. Yeah. But it wasn't like, but it was all is well that ends well, because he now is an investor in La Ratatouille, which is the restaurant. And did you notice how much smaller that restaurant was? Mm-hmm. Like it's all tiny and compressed and small. And Anton Ego is now smiling and casually sitting with his legs crossed, enjoying his food instead of that austere, slightly leaning in forward kind of thing with his hands behind his back that looks like Peter O'Toole. But it was
his office or home or whatever that was supposed to be is the least realistic setting we see in the entire movie. It's got the giant paint like portrait of him and all the things down the side, and it's so exaggerated. And we know from context that Anton Ego is unhappy with, like he's like, I closed that, I shut that case, basically. Like that restaurant should be going downhill, not coming back. And and he's so detached from it anymore. And when he says,
like a lot of restaurant reviewers are accused of, they are so wrapped up in it.
You like food, and he goes, no, I love food. And there is a difference between like and love, and sometimes you can love something and not like it anymore.
That's true.
So by the end of the movie, he likes food again, and they really do like solve that problem. But yeah, Anton Ego's like, and also the giant restaurant makes him more separated from the kitchen.
It does.
It leaves more of a gap between him and the thing that he loves, but he clearly doesn't like and has almost a disdain for the practitioners of. And when he finally gets that lesson, the Gusteau saying, anyone can cook.
Anyone can cook. Yeah.
And he like kind of reiterates it or finally agrees with it, but in a way that clarifies it better by saying like, it doesn't mean any, but everybody can cook. It means a good cook, a good artist can come from anywhere. And he finally it gives him that wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
Ahead,
a coincidence about the movie. I usually don't help cook dinner, but that night I did help a lot cook dinner, which just says that anyone can cook.
Yeah,
I love that. So when
you start
talking, it actually happened.
What did you guys eat?
We had like this pasta with sausage in the sauce.
Yeah, but what was the vegetable that was in there?
Basil.
Eggplant.
And basil.
It was basically pasta alla Norma, but with a sausage. Okay. So I'm calling it pasta alla Norman.
Alla Norman. Yeah, I like that.
But I like that.
So,
but we made it because neither Sarah and I don't like ratatouille. But I was like, we should make ratatouille for the. And then we were like, and then we were like, what's close in ingredients wise that we would like? And Sarah was like, pasta alla Norma, and I was like, okay, but I need protein, otherwise I'm gonna not fill up. Like, I'm gonna want to eat a bunch.
Yeah. So my hot take for this, and it's fun that you talked about Anton Ego. He's not actually the villain. His room is.
Yeah.
So the most villainous thing, mise en scène related, is that office, the roll top desk, the single source of light from that window. Everything is so tall. It's so far away from that door, the only door into that room. It feels like when we first have his butler walking up to his desk, right? Mm-hmm. And I thought it was going to be an evil person playing an organ in a Gothic church. Like it had that huge austerity kind of feel to it.
And
yeah,
his typewriter was shaped like a skull.
I was about to say, his typewriter is shaped like a skull, and they showed it to the audience 3 different times.
Mm-hmm. And by the third time that they show it, it looks the least like a skull.
It looks the least like a skull.
Like the second part is kind of like slightly at a different angle, so it no longer looks like the 2 eyes.
So Anton Ego is not really the villain here. His room is the villain. And when you see him taste the ratatouille, a peasant dish, for the first time, it brings him to his childhood, which is a trope in the fine dining world, is you taste something that connects to a memory, which literally proves that taste is subjective. But it brings an experience for Anton Ego full circle. And that's when I think he didn't care that they ruined him.
Yeah.
He doesn't. Like he doesn't care that like any possible and Remy even talks about that. He's like, oh yeah, he could never write again.
Yeah.
Like they speak so casually that this whole guy's career is just cooked. And it doesn't matter because all's well that ends well. We do the scene pullback where it's La Ratatouille with the logo. By the way, that's the same logo that's outside of the attached restaurant in Walt Disney World.
Yeah.
So the other adult adjacent thing that was but not really talked about.
I want to talk about your hot take for a second before we get on to the next thing.
What?
I agree that Anton Ego's not the villain, but I don't think that he was ever supposed to be the villain. I think the villain's Skinner.
Okay.
Because I think Ego is a hurdle, an obstacle to be won over.
He is more that, yeah.
Skinner at no point is won over. He might think that the food is delicious, but Skinner doesn't give in and say,
I love what he's having.
Like Ego, once he tastes it, is like, I want to give my compliments to the chef. Mm-hmm. And he goes, I'm not the chef, and and they, and so like Anton Ego, despite his name, as soon as
I love that that's his name too.
as soon as he's like, no, this is amazing, doesn't fight it. He doesn't say like, it's amazing, but you don't have the right to make it because you're not a trained chef or any of the other things. Like he immediately is like, he's won over. So I don't think he is the villain.
Okay, totally cool. But now think of this. How obvious is he supposed to be the villain? So now pull it back to like that children's understanding or appreciation.
Oh, yeah.
If you asked my 6-year-old niece, well, is Skinner really a bad guy? Yeah, he doesn't believe in Linguini can cook and he's mean to him. But is Anton Ego a villain? Well, yeah, look at his weird dark office and his skull typewriter. And he doesn't like any food, so he spits it all out. That's why he's skinny. He's mean to Linguini. I think in a perfect sense, Skinner's a better villain. How about that? Skinner is a better villain.
I don't have a better example for what I'm about to say, and I hate shouting out Harry Potter, but Anton Ego is Snape.
Snape.
You're supposed to think he's a villain at the beginning, but he's never really the villain. And it's
very Pixar.
Yeah.
So the demi villain or the demi bad guy is very much a Pixar method where you've got the bad guy that can be won over. Mm-hmm. Like that is a trend not only in many kids films but many Pixar films specifically. And there's almost never a true evil, a true villain. But I think the true villain, or to me the thing that looks most villainous, is actually Ego's office. Yeah. And I say that because even Skinner is made to look so hopelessly comedic. It's difficult to see him as a villain, kind of like Jafar. Jafar's not scary. It's the same reason that I think the worst villain in all of Star Wars is Kylo Ren. Because nothing about him doesn't scream spoiled brat. If you showed me Kylo Ren as a child and you showed me Darth Vader is truly freaking scary. Mm-hmm. Kylo Ren's a spoiled brat who doesn't get his way and wears his pants too high.
Logan literally had that mask on before you logged on because he thought he wasn't able to show his face. He was like, I'll wear this. Logan, what were you about to say? Take your mask off and tell us what you're about to say.
I have a hot take.
I want to hear
a hot take.
Remy is not the main character, even though the movie is in first person from Remy's perspective.
You're right, he isn't. No, so what is the main character?
Linguini, or actually Ravioli, not Ravioli. What is his name again?
Who, the mouse?
His first name?
The rat?
Linguini's first name.
Alfredo.
Oh, Alfredo.
Alfredo Linguini is the main character of Ratatouille.
It's a good thing you call that a hot take because I disagree with that, but I like your setup on it. I do.
I think he's as much, if not more so, than Remy is. I
agree.
I think that there is an argument to be made that, and this is probably what you're going to say, Alex, but cooking food is the main character.
Paris and its cuisine, so that perfect like collaboration between the two, that's actually the main character here. Because if you put this in a Scandinavian country, or if you put this in a Cuban country, or if you put this in South America, or you put this in Australia, it completely changes it. Not just setting, but the entirety of the film. Chef would be a bad movie if it wasn't about a taco truck. Mm-hmm. If that was a cupcake van, it would have been a bad movie. It was a better movie because the food was the thing.
I agree with your argument, but not with your summation. I actually think Logan's right that it is Linguini that's the main character. Okay. I think that it is impossible not to argue that Paris isn't a character. Paris isn't an element of that. But I also think to say that the city itself is the main character requires more of.
Okay. So maybe more. No, you're right. You're not wrong. Maybe more. What I mean is not the true main character. The true romance is not Linguini Colette. It's Paris and the food. That's more. Yeah. Sorry, that's more what I mean. Is the main romance character. Linguini Colette's just cute. By the way, go look at pictures of Anthony Bourdain's wife. She looks like Colette. Her haircut's nearly the same. Her almond-shaped eyes are the same. Her very pale skin is nearly the same. Ottavia Bourdain and Colette Tattoo look so much like each other.
Yeah, Ottavia Busia, Logan. If you look that up.
Yeah, because she's a widow now. Yeah. So especially in her later life, that haircut and everything, it's his wife. It is absolutely Ottavia Busia. It is.
And they got married that year.
Yep. I miss him so much.
He
is one of my favorite. So
he's a famous chef, Log.
Yeah. So Anthony Bourdain, the gray-haired tall guy, is a famous chef that I worked with in New York, and then he became. He's actually a fantastic writer, nonfiction and fiction writer, and he is one of probably the best. He probably gives one of the best monologues television and film has ever had. Period. But either way,
linked Logan.
Yeah, just look in the chat. He linked it. Ottavia is his wife. His first and only wife, actually. Because
he had a wife before that, Nancy.
Oh, sorry,
Putkowski.
Nancy Putkowski is his first. This is Anthony's second. He had a third after her. So anyway, yeah. So my big is not the main character. The main romance is Paris and the cuisine, not Colette Tattoo and Alfredo Linguini. Although that's cute, I agree, it's cute. But I really like Logan picking up on like the typewriter being a skull. Like it makes him the obvious villain. When I really don't think he's the obvious villain. And I had such a hard time finding Skinner a villain because in my Kylo Ren example, my villain has to be genuinely scary. Nothing about Kylo Ren's scary because of his power and influence. He's not a scary person. He just isn't. But Adam Driver does not play a good scary dude. Sorry, dude.
Okay,
you don't.
So back to the culinary side of things. When you think about the culinary villain, it is Skinner.
Okay.
Because
okay.
Skinner has the ability to be a great chef, and
but he chooses not to
chef. But he's making microwave meals, and he's selling out the Gusto name.
True.
To microwave meals.
True villain.
And even though, Anton Ego is a real snobby,
restaurant critic.
He is also able to. He is at all levels trying to maintain what he thinks food should be, as opposed to make a quick buck, including when his career his writing career and critiquing career is ended at the end, and he's like, well, I would rather invest in this thing and make food that I believe in and love. Whereas Skinner could have had all the money and things that he wanted the right way, but instead was like, no, we're gonna make Kentucky Fried Gusto and
toothpick and chicken.
Logan saw it.
Toothpick and chicken. So
I am also glad that of all the ones that they had him do the voices for, he didn't do the voice for the Chinese food.
I do like that they skipped out on that. That made me feel a little better.
For anyone who somehow doesn't know, toothpick and chicken is a reference to KFC.
It is. Yeah. Yep, it absolutely is. And when they did when they were talking, when the stand-up cards were talking, he even has a very. It sounds more like it sounds more like Alton Brown doing his Colonel Sanders than it does Colonel Sanders being Colonel Sanders. But my other big thing, and Mike, I like how you touched on this. Skinner could have been just as mean, just as crass, just as snivelly and snide
but been true to food.
And not a grifty person. So his villain arc is definitely more taking the easy way, and I like how you framed it that way, rather than saying the other way around, which is where Ego is not the villain. No, because Ego has purpose. Ego has conviction. And when his conviction is revealed, he can be convinced to be this true, still on his standards, food passionate person. Just earlier before you recorded, my wife and I booked our second ever, as a married couple, Michelin dining experience. We're going to Chicago to eat at an Indian place that has 1 Michelin star. You can get up to 3. And
I gotta call you out on this for a second.
What?
How do you say the tires? Michelin. You know that they're the same company, right?
I'm aware, yes. Do you know the history behind
it? I do. Okay. It was an auto guide for when you were driving. It's similar to the Guinness Book of World Records being something. It is, but it's like when you say Jaguar for the car, but Jaguar for the animal.
I don't say Jaguar. You know that.
No, I don't mean you. I just mean when people do it.
No, I know. It's an often criticized thing that makes food seem poncy, and that's that every cold-blooded American like myself says Michelin that was in the food industry, but we have Michelins on our car, or Michelins on our car. So yeah. we booked our second. It is very close to Michigan. Quick audience. The entire purpose was they weren't selling tires. They needed people to use their tires more. And this company started in its infancy during post-war when no one was driving because rubber was expensive. So they literally made a dining guide for Europe so that people would drive more, use tires, and then need to replace them. And it was sponsored or run by the same dude. And actually, the Michelin Tire Man used to be on the cover of all the guides. So
yeah, and then they became the premier rating system for restaurants around the world. Similar to how, like, I didn't know until I was in my 20s or 30s that Guinness Book of World Records had anything to do with the beer company, because they were as famous to me, if not more so famous to me, than Guinness beer was. You know,
yeah, like very true. And by the way, interesting crossover. There is a Michelin rated restaurant in Walt Disney World. It is at the Grand Floridian. It is Victoria and Albert's, and yes, you can go eat there. Fun Disney Pixar crossover thing. So my big thing is, you're right. I've worked for some mean chefs. I have had things thrown at me. I have been burned. I have been cut. I have been cussed out. And everyone that I worked for that still had a genuine passion for food, it was like when I felt people who served in the military, how they revere their commanding officers. So they might hate who their CO is, but they absolutely believe in and understand the purpose of that individual. Skinner could have been exactly the same character, but not made toothpick and chicken, and would have been more believed in by the general. And also, good point. You know what? It pushes more of his villain. They were celebratory when Linguini got the restaurant. The entire kitchen staff was celebrating when it was no longer under Skinner.
Because most of them, I got the feeling, had been there. I mean, they said, 2 years after Gusteau's death. So most of them had been under Gusteau. And
before,
Gusteau, and it's hard to tell how much of that was Skinner profiting or Skinner just maximizing. Like, maybe Gusteau did have some sellout points before that. But for everything we know about Gusteau, other than that first snippet on TV, is basically from Remy's imagination. And so we are made to believe that Gusteau is this amazing character, which maybe he is, maybe isn't, for all intents and purposes, he has
Gusteau
to be.
Gusteau felt more. Gusteau felt more like Julia Child than he does. He feels more Julia Child than he does Gordon Ramsay. Right. Gordon Ramsay has Michelin-starred places and had them before he became the default TV chef. However, he also has frozen meals.
Do we think there's anything that could have been improved about this movie?
So, yes. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the way it was made or the reason we picked it. In other words, usually our critiques are, could we have made the thing we're critiquing better? No. The mise en
Or could
scène,
it have been made better in that time period with that budget? That's another thing.
Budget. Okay.
We've talked about that a little bit. Like
we have the budget for this.
Go ahead and say what you're going to say, but I'm just saying, like,
a $150 million budget for a film that, because I enjoy the technical part of this. There was a lot of cross promotion that went on with this film in the technology industry. So, for example, obviously Pixar and Disney, but more specifically Intel and RenderMan, which is the software that at the time Pixar was using a like an off the shelf. It wasn't a boutique version of an animation software. And remember, 2007 is a long time ago, folks. Long time ago in comparison of digital filmmaking. So
I don't remember it. I don't remember it that well.
I know. Ask me if I remember 2007.
Well, Logan was -9, so
yeah, right. So for me, I think budget wise, yes, no, and no. I'm going to say budget wise, no, and here's why. Back in this era, all of these were so boutique, one-off, babysat kind of softwares that in no way could have been done. Like, there wasn't 5 companies that did this back then. There was one, and it had a jumping lamp and a ball, and it's Pixar. There was that was it. Nobody else other than Ghibli over in Japan had really mastered the digitized animation thing, and Ghibli stuff is so specifically its own aesthetic, it does not apply in this comparison.
Yeah.
So budget-wise, could it be made better? No, because boutique one-offs are always shockingly expensive. Look at how much those cameras that were used to film the F1 movie were. Look at how much each of those were, and they were essentially a sensor made by Sony on a stick. And those suckers were triple-digit thousands each, and the car had like 10 of them, right? Yeah. So boutique one-offs are always expensive. So could it have been made better? I would have preferred. I wanted more backstory on the Kitchen Brigade. So I believe that the voice acting chops of the other actors / voice actors that had characters in this film, they're so darn good. They didn't get their time in the sun. That's what kind of bugged me is you had Will Arnett as Horst. You had Jason
honestly,
Ratzenberger.
There's only like one line where I realized that it was Will Arnett, by the way. Like
there was only one. It was well done. It was. So for me, that's the thing I would want to be better is I wanted more character development from characters I saw more on the screen. And yes, Skinner gets a lot of time, but how often do you see Larousse? Oh, by the way, that's another French joke. Larousse is a major brand of French-English dictionary. So Larousse and Pompidou the Pâtissière, Larousse, Mustafa, Lalo. Like, other than Colette and Skinner, you don't really get a lot of like backstory of the other dudes outside of the one time that who does their intros? Is it Remy or is it Colette? That's like them. He had his thumb and all that.
I can't remember, but yeah.
Other than that, they don't get a real touch.
I understand what you're saying. I think that if you give them more than what you gave them, this becomes a bloated movie for a children's movie. And so while I understand,
there's the smart filmmaker in you. There's the good filmmaker. I'm like, I want this as an audience.
It's similar to how we're getting the Adventures of Cliff Booth. Like, we all want to know what Cliff Booth's deal is in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But there isn't room in the movie for it. And you're right.
Fair.
I want to know about Horst and how he killed a man with his thumb.
And the story changes every time.
but it doesn't fit. And telling the story different every time works perfect. It could be a really cool movie, although not for a Pixar kids movie maybe. But like, think about like the what's the Kurosawa movie with the 4 different perspectives?
Oh, Shiz! Come on. Our audience is going to be like, how do you not know this?
You know what I'm talking about. I will link. I will type it right here. But anyway, so like I think that you show something like Horst doing the killing, like that. Rashomon. You're not wrong that there are stories there that are interesting and cool, but I don't think that they fit without.
They don't serve the film. It's like something you want, but they don't serve the film. It's excessive seasoning that doesn't increase the quality of the end dish.
Yep.
Print it.
Okay.
Print it
Logan.
in the tin. Done.
Okay, Logan. What is your is there anything that you would change about this movie?
I would probably change the animation style. Actually, never mind.
No. Every option's valid. What would you want to have changed? Would you want it to be more of a certain other film?
Silly.
No, but I really silly still matters. I want to know.
I wouldn't make it a children's film or a Pixar film.
So you would want this to be live actors?
I wouldn't make it a children's film. I think it could have been a good film. I don't think it should have been a children, made for children, Pixar animation.
It absolutely could hold up in another form. I think you're right about that. Alex and I had a conversation a few weeks ago about how sometimes a concept for a movie is so good that it transcends the genre. Yes. And I think that maybe that you're right. This is a movie that could be a horror movie. It could be almost the same tone, but as a live action.
So when you say animation style, do you mean you want it as a live action, Logan? Is that what you would have preferred, or do you mean you want it to not be a kid's film and like its style?
I think Disney could make some money off of remaking that into a live action film, and it could be a good idea.
We don't talk about that on this podcast. We're not talking about Disney live action remakes. I do not want to see this as a Disney live action remake. Because they will just make it the exact same movie photorealistic, and I don't want to see
I was about to say, where is this hate coming from, bro? What is going on?
This would be the Lion King. The Lion King remake.
Hold on, audience. This is the hot button I didn't know Mike had.
Oh, yeah. So I don't have a problem with the live action remakes as a concept.
I don't prefer them.
What I have a problem with is that they're not doing them the way I think would be best. So I'll give you an example. You look at one of the ones I think actually holds up better, and this is going to be a real hot take, is the Aladdin movie, because they changed some stuff. It's fair. Different enough. One of the ones that I dislike
it can live on its own. Yeah.
The one that I dislike the most is The Lion King, because there is literally nothing different other than 1 or 2 Timon lines, and the fact that they changed my favorite song to not a song. Be prepared.
Because I haven't seen it, and I completely agree with you. When I saw photorealistic lions talking, I don't want to see that. It pulls me out of the immersion of this being a fun movie about loss and family. And I'm just thinking, I don't want to see a realistic lion talk in the main move and everything. No, I want to see it animated and goofy. I want to see it kids.
And I also, like, when you look at the remakes, and I have not seen Snow White, so cast Snow White out of what I'm about to say. But when you look at the older Disney movies, there is a good reason to remake some of those, because little kids might not be going back to watch some of those older movies.
No,
because the animation style might be a turnoff. But also, some of the stories could be updated. So, like, Dumbo has some racist shit in it. And then you let Tim Burton do a Dumbo movie. I didn't love the Tim Burton version, but it's a different movie. And they tried something. And I will always prefer you take a swing than you doing the safe thing, which is literally a shot-for-shot remake with just, like, better quality graphics. Now, if you want to do a shot-for-shot remake, just especially when it's something like Pixar, just go and just like if you wanted to make Toy Story 1, just take the old files and revamp the graphics so that they match Toy Story 4. I would be okay with that, as long as you leave Toy Story 1 available for purchase. Don't do a Star Wars.
Please don't do that. Yes.
But I would be okay with that. But what I don't want to see is you remake Toy Story 1 with better graphics and a new voice.
No.
Oh, also, just so we're clear, there's nothing I would change about this. Well, Logan, we'll take your take on this first. Do you recommend this film?
Like, if someone hadn't seen it, would you say, yeah, you need to watch it?
I would say you don't need to watch it, but it would be a good movie to watch if you ever run out of ideas.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're very much saying that you should see this if you haven't, but you're not missing anything if you haven't either, kind of thing. Good, but not like okay.
If you run out of ideas to watch a movie, I would recommend this. Okay. But if not, there's better movies to watch.
Okay, and then second question, Logan, is on a watchability, what would you rank this 1 to 10?
7.5.
Okay, and quality, what would you rank this 1 to 10?
A 9.
9. Okay.
I think I can predict what Mike is gonna say.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is your ratings are close to mine, Logan.
Yeah. And so
I can predict it. Double. I'm
gonna put Logan's in. So 7.5, and what did you say for quality, Log?
10.
9.
Or 9. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. We will not count those towards our month end. To like totals, Logan's, because he's not going to be watching the rest of the movies, but we'll count them today just to kind of get an average. Alex, you go ahead. Recommend and your rankings.
Yeah, recommend, yes, because this film, a preteen, a teenager, a child like Logan's age, or even my niece's age that are all younger, and an adult, this film fits across those different desires of those kind of filmmakers or those kind of film watchers. So it's the kind of thing that I believe they would absolutely enjoy. So recommend, yes, for sure. Fun, I gave it an 8. It is fun. It is silly. It is serious. And that's why also the quality is up there, because I know what kind of technology had to go into making this and how unavailable AI and other digital creation methods were. So this is kind of the situation where the quality is up there. So I give the quality of this an 8 as well, because I'm aware what had to go into doing this all the way back in 2005 in this case, when it was originally started.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I would recommend, and I would give it a 8
I'm curious
for fun watchability.
Okay.
Because I had not seen it in so long, I didn't remember it, and I thought it was real fun.
Yeah.
I don't want to rewatch it tonight, like but I would rewatch it in the next few months.
Yeah, sure.
No problems. And then quality-wise, I think it was a 9.
All right.
I'm going to be real easygoing with those handing out of 10s. I know I did last week, but this movie is really well written.
The writing is excellent.
3 animated films in history to get a nomination for Best Screenplay.
I was about to say, yep.
Brad Bird has 2 out of 3 of them, which is awesome too.
Exactly.
For The Incredibles and WALL-E, which I love The Incredibles and I love WALL-E.
WALL-E's fantastic.
But I think this movie's excellent in the writing, and again, the blending of the visuals is incredible.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know. My hesitance is just that, like, I like other Pixar movies better than this. Like, this is not my favorite.
I agree with that.
10 seems a little intense.
So your quality's 9. What's your fun?
8. So this ranks just between the two of us, not with Logan's scores. Real close behind Milk.
That's true.
For this month, and it's tied for second place overall. which is cool.
Yeah, that is true.
You know,
that an animated film 30-something years later is hitting this good with a absolute historical blockbuster of a film, The Exorcist. So, yeah, I agree with that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for wanting to watch next week's Cinnamon. Chocolat is on the palette. Chocolat is on the table. Logan will not be joining us for this kind of film. However, I am very looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am too. I am excited. It's a one that I know that I've seen that I don't remember anything about. And so I'm very excited to see it.
Yep.
And kind of finish up our mini food
right
between this week and next week.
Yep.
Logan saw the whole schedule and he goes, "Oh, you did like 3 food movies in a row." And I'm like, "Milk is not about food."
Oh, you did 3. Milk is not about food. That's good. I like that.
Bye.
Okay, so Logan, thank you for coming on the podcast. Is there anything you want to say to the audience before we finish up and sign off?
Be a good boy.
That's important.
So if you are enjoying this podcast, please like and subscribe. It's a great way to support us.
Please.
We've been getting some really good feedback from you all, and we're really happy with it. And we want to keep going and making. We're picking some real random movies, in like really random good movies that are not getting covered by a lot of other film podcast channels. From what I've seen,
this is true. How many people did Hard Eyes?
We're doing odd deep dives. And so join us next week for Chocolat, which I will say funny the entire time. And also, this is Chocolate Diamond Media, so like
it kind of fits.
Diamond Media next week.
Chocolat Diamond Media. Welcome back to Cinnamon on the Chocolat Diamond Media.
Yeah. And so we will see you next week. If you are interested in seeing episodes early, I'll put a link up of a package that you can get all of the early episodes from the 2025 collection. As soon as I'm done editing, I'll post them there. I'll do the same thing for 2026, but I didn't. It's just a pain in the ass to start a full Patreon right now when we're so new, and it just in case you're interested, that's an option. But there's no extras. It's just early. Just a way of saying, like if you want to,
But I mean, the free ways to support are interacting with this. Yeah. Likes and comments are really important. We appreciate you liking and commenting. As Logan said earlier, if you see Lord Bacon the Destroyer, reply to your comment. That's me. And if you see the official Cinnamon channel, reply to any of your comments. That's any of the 3 of us. So in this kind of situation, we appreciate you guys interacting with our content. This is not only a passion project for Mike and I, but it's definitely something that has us watching things differently. And I really think our tagline, A Journey Through Film, is absolutely appropriate for how this has gone for us so far. So we're really pleased that you all are giving this 30 seconds of your time to give us the credit for the view, or watching half of it to give us the credit for the total time. So we appreciate that a lot.